welcome back to TribPreps. We now know who will be playing at Camp Randall Stadium from the Cooley region. We have a couple of teams there. We'll get to that in a second. I'm Todd Sommerfeldt here. We have James Krause. We have Andrew Tucker. We have Eric
Auer Lee.
Auer Lee here with us tonight. We were all out of games. We'll run through the scoreless first. Still so used to being Eric Lee. Division 3, we had West Salem 37, Onalaska 14 in a kind of a surprise, at least a surprise margin.
Yes, for sure.
Eric and I were up that one. Aquinas 44, Kewanee 19. James was out there. He just got back from Wisconsin Rapids. Mayville beat Prairie du Chien 26-21 in what I think is a very good performance for the Blackhawks there in the other D5. The Prairie du Chien put together a really good end of the season here, and that's a really good Mayville team that it almost beat. Last two scores, Division 7, Eau Claire Regis 43-7 over Bangor. We had Andrew over at Arcadia for that one. And then Shiocton pulls off a 21-19 win over Cashton and stops the Eagles' run for that game at Camp Randall. That leads us to two championship games coming up next week. We'll first have Aquinas versus Mayville, a rematch of last year's championship game for Division 5 at 4 p.m. Thursday. And then 10 a.m. on Friday, we'll have West Salem versus Monroe. We'll see how the Panthers do with defending Wing T. But they certainly defended tonight against Onalaska. I'll let you kind of start with this one. We did hit a key moment. We can go to different spots in this game, but we did hit a key moment very beginning of the fourth quarter. 17-6 lead for West Salem, and Onalaska decided to go for it on fourth down.
And at that point, Yash said that they just felt like because of how well West Salem's defense was playing that they almost had to go for it at that point, even though it was a 2-score game. And that just seemed to show how well, honestly, that the Panthers were playing. When you're back up again in your own,
and that was at their own 17.
You're inside your own 20, and you're going for it on fourth and more than 5. It was like what? It was almost like 4th and 10.
I think it was 4th and 9. So I think it was 4th and 4 initially. Then they had the false start. And they still decided to go.
So that's a significant to try to get there. And 2 plays later, they don't get it. Incomplete pass. The pass rush tonight from West Salem was phenomenal. I mean, the entire defense was phenomenal.
There was a lot of pressure.
Skipton really didn't have time. Essentially, the whole night.
They made him uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's for sure. And 2 plays later, Luke Knoll scores from 17 yards out, and he just kind of took over the game from there. Didn't help that Onalaska's next possession ended in a pick 6, and their next possession also ended in an interception. So it went from being 17-6 to 37-6 in the span of a couple minutes.
And that's, like we said, that's how good West Salem's defense was today. I think what stood out to me was the tackling. That seemed to be something, watching that game, you could probably send that video out to be taught how to make tackles. They were tackling through the runners. Onalaska did not have much in terms of yardage after contact in this game. There were a few plays that kind of outliers, but when they tried to run the ball, second that running back got the ball, he had somebody on him. If they completed passes, as soon as they catch that pass, someone was there to drop them to the ground. There was not a lot of catch and run, and like I said, Brady Kuhn couldn't get anywhere out of the backfield in this thing. Neither could Skifton. A couple of times he tried.
14 carries for 18 yards. 14 carries for 18
And that's a team that's been running the ball pretty well as of late, and then that's kind of a point of emphasis. And West Salem knew that. They wanted to take that away. They did. But I just thought the physicality of West Salem and the tackling specifically was just so on point that there wasn't much that Onalaska could do in this one. So West Salem back to Camp Randall for the first time in 15 years. Onalaska will have to wait at least one more year to try and get there for the first time. But a great year for the Hilltoppers. Set a record for wins in the season, getting to the semis for the first time. Came out and got the first touchdown tonight. Had a 6-0 lead. Just couldn't maintain it, but
the momentum switched there in the second quarter with the muff kickoff and West Salem recovers, and they score a touchdown on the very next play to go up 10-6.
That's right. I forgot about that.
To go up 10-6.
That was Andy Johnson.
Andy Johnson recovered it and had the touchdown catch on a very, very good ball from Brett McConkey.
Yes. And a great catch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a really nice throw. He let him a little bit long, but he made a really good catch on that in the end zone.
And I thought arguably just as important as the fourth down sequence in the fourth quarter was the opening drive of the third quarter. And that seems kind of cliche, but they had just missed the field goal that could have put them up 13-6 at half. And so it was only 10-6 at half. Like, that's a very, like, game's going to go either way. We were both talking half, like, what's going to happen to this game? And West Salem scores on the opening possession. It was like, okay, this is what's and then their defense did what their defense did. And
that was the
Calico. Yeah. They ran the ball 4 or 5 times in a row, picked up a couple first downs, and then gave a little play action. Yeah, Luke Knoll gave the play action, and Chris Calico was wide open for like a 54-yard touchdown. And then it's a 2-score game just like that, and the defense is playing lights out.
And I think we said Onalaska had 8 snaps in the second quarter.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
And they didn't get a whole lot after that.
And it was a one possession too, we should say.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, from the end of the first quarter on, West Salem really kind of controlled this thing. So very impressive, especially considering Onalaska beat them in week 1. Very impressive showing for the Panthers. James, let's talk Blue Gold's Hargrove time.
It was
Hargrove time again, right?
It was as kind of alluded to earlier this week. It is Hargrove time. 15 carries, 114 yards, 3 touchdown rushes in this one, and it was a physical game for him. He got cleated, get stepped on in the first quarter, and from there he just kept getting better as the game went along.
He's a wrestler, he's tough.
Yeah, very. That was something when you mentioned the headline that his teammates had kind of had fun with throughout the week, and even after this game, it was he said the most carries he's had all season. And this is a team that has really transitioned from we're going to go get the big plays, we're going to get on and off the field, and we're going to get to a point of running clock. That's how they actually started these playoffs, and now they're very much in a mode where we're going to get a few yards at a time and really bleed clock out. It's a change of pace for them, but it especially worked for this one in terms of a turning point. I think two touchdowns from Hargrove in the third quarter. They make it 28-12. The Storm.
It was 14-12 at the half.
Yeah, 14-12 at the half. The Storm scored right before halftime. And if you're the Storm, you say, okay, we're down 2 scores here. Let's get something together to go into the fourth quarter. They fumble the kickoff. It's recovered by Aquinas. They score and add to it. The Storm managed to get a 3-and-out. They got a touchdown, done 3-and-out, and that's when Jackson Flottmeyer kicked a 73-yard punt that was down at the 2, and then 2 plays later they got a sack in the end zone for a safety, and that basically from there put the game away. Just impressive that they've been able to transition so much from this is going to be Jackson Flottmeyer,
continuous and
and now it's very much, at least in this game, it was very much Hargrove and the run game. Guys, Kyle White got a ton of carries. He had a touchdown late.
You said does Moline get some too? I know that.
Yes.
They kind of did that last year where they went to a 2- and 3-headed running attack out of the backfield, which it's the same pattern that they took last year.
It's crazy
to get to Camp Randall and win there. A lot of passing in the regular season, then they flipped the switch and said, all right, now we're a running team. And not a lot of teams can do that, but they certainly can, apparently.
And they've done it twice now, and defensively they did a really good job of shutting down the Storm. So
rematch ahead. Aquinas Mayville.
That should be that Mayville team last year. That was a hell of a game last year in the state title game.
And Schraufnagel has over 2,000 rushing yards.
Of course he does.
So they squeaked by Prairie du Chien, like I said, with a fourth quarter touchdown tonight. So obviously Prairie du Chien figured out something to do, and I'm sure Aquinas is going to be trying to figure that out. Andrew, not so much luck over in Arcadia Bangor tonight, but we knew that was going to be a really, really tough game for them to win. Even as good as the Cardinals have been playing as of late.
Yeah, it sounds like a joke to say that Bangor was down before 7 p.m. with the 7 p.m. scheduled kickoff, but the game started about 5 minutes early. Bangor fumbles right away. Regis scores right away, and sure enough, before 7 p.m., they were down 7-0, and then that was sort of the way it went all game. Regis had a 15-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. Bangor scored early in the second quarter after a strip sack, and then Clayton Liga scored after getting the ball maybe 5 times in a row to make it 15-7. Looked like there might be some life, but Regis went ahead and scored 2 more times in the second quarter for a 29-7 halftime lead. Scored twice in the third quarter to get the running clock, and then that was the way it went. There was a couple run-focused teams, and Regis outrushed them 265 to 171. So that number tells you alone just how good. And that Regis team looks good, man. They're big. When they put in their backups in the fourth quarter, they were as big as any starters you'll see around the state. I feel bad for whatever team is going up against them next week in Madison.
Yeah, that'd be
Shiocton, which beat
Which beat Cashton. So, but yeah, that 2 Scenic Bluffs teams playing tonight in state semifinals, pretty big deal.
Yep.
Neither of them able to come up with a win tonight, but that's a great year for that conference. Bangor got some great wins along the way. Cashton being a 1 seed, and everybody's going to say they expected them to win and get there, but to come from where that program was to what they've done the last 2 years is pretty amazing. And like I said, Bangor the last 2 weeks, 2 really good wins going into this game, which everybody knew Regis is the team to beat.
Yeah.
Kind of has known that all year to go there. The first update we got at our game from that was 15-7. It's like, oh, they're hanging with them, but obviously
Not quite.
That didn't work. So stories, videos, photos of all this stuff, lacrossetribune.com. If you go there, we'll be doing obviously a lot of things leading up to Camp Randall with these 2 teams that we have there. So next week, lacrossetribune.com will be your portal to find all that stuff. We'll come up with something creative, right?
Oh yeah.
to advance those games and let people know what's going on. So watch the Lacrosse Tribune print edition during the week, lacrossetribune.com for everything leading up to those games. And thank you very much for joining us tonight.